What's good, double leg fam? Units have been deployed for UFC Vegas 69. We're going to let you know where those units are and why we sent them there. We are going to get right into it because we don't want to take too much of your time. But if you're watching this before the fights, leave a like for good luck and leave a subscription down below. This is the exclusive show for the double leg premium members. And if you're watching this after, hopefully we had some good results. But we'll start with the main event. Jessica Andrade, Aaron Blanchfield, where are your plays?
Juan Andrade money line. Yeah, just looking at her past couple of fights, what she did to Lauren Murphy was disgusting. That fight should have been stopped on multiple occasions. Like her only losses recently are people like Wei Li, Rose Namajunas, Valentina Shevchenko. And on Blanchfield's side, I mean, we obviously know she's good, but she's fighting Molly McCann and fighters that aren't in that top five, top 10. So what's going to happen when you meet an Andrade and you can't get all the takedowns you want. You got to stand and bang a little bit because if she stays on the feet for any amount of time, Andrade is going to win those exchanges. We saw how savage Andrade is and her striking. We've seen her get standing triangles before. So her submission game and ground games, it's not like she's incompetent or lost down there. She might not be the wrestler Blanchfield is, but dude, she's so good all the way around, and she's shown that in her last few fights. Yeah, if you're gonna give me her at, I think what it's like -130 now, I gotta hammer that on Andrade. If Blanchfield was a decent sized underdog, I'd probably sprinkle a little bit on her. But I mean, the odds as close as they are, I gotta take Jessica.
Yeah, I'm on the same path as you. I got 2 units on Jessica Andrade, -125. So, I mean, I kinda waited it out till basically got the best price. I think you coulda maybe got her, but, like, -120.
Yeah,
But, yeah, I mean, I think that's a great price for him on the money line, and you could take her inside the distance, but the price discrepancy wasn't, like, super big, so I just stuck with the money line
yeah.
on that. We'll move on to the co-main event, Jordan Wright, Zach Pauga. I got a little bit on Zach Pauga, round 2 KO, plus 400. Just a little sprinkle, and then a little sprinkle on Jordan Wright in round 1 or 2. Honestly, I didn't think, Jordan Wright looked smaller than Zach Pauga. I almost thought he looked bigger at the weigh-ins, so, yeah, I think this one's not gonna last very long, and, it's basically a puncher's chance to me, like, as as simple as that is, but I couldn't lay Zach Pauga at that chalk, even in, like, a parlay or anything. I also have under 2.5 in a parlay, um, which I'll complete later, but, yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah, you said they look the same size, and it's probably accurate because Pauga is not a wasn't a big heavyweight, and Jordan Wright was a big middleweight, so they kind of meet in the middle at 205. Um, yeah, I took Pauga. I sprinkled on second round KO as well, just because these. It seems like Jordan Wright's downfall is getting to the second round and he just gets knocked out, or he gets finished. Jordan Wright, I like that first round play you sprinkled on too because, like I said, like we said in the preview show, he's either clip you or he's going to get clipped. Like there's no in between. He doesn't go to the decision very often. It's just a firefight and crazy fights with him until someone goes to sleep. So I did take Zach Pauga in a 3 leg parlay as my last leg. The first two should win. Clayton Carpenter, Myra Bueno Silva, and then Zach Pauga is going to be kind of that dicey third leg that should win. But yeah, no. So I didn't take him on the money line. Definitely couldn't get there with him. But I do like some knockout props in that fight too.
Yeah, I think Jordan Wright might surprise some people. Last fight on his contract and a dangerous man, having like nothing to lose. That's
Yeah,
basically what he is. And maybe the cardio will be better if he's moving up in weight, but we'll see. Honestly, can never be too confident in that guy. But Josh Parisian, Jamal Pogues. I don't know who the hell is laying the chalk on Jamal Pogues. I just really couldn't do it. I took Parisian money line for half unit at plus 225. And then I think that's all I got on that one. Other than a no house advantage play, which I'll go over. at the end of the main card real quick, but we'll save that. Go ahead.
Yep, I've got Pogues on my other 3 leg last play of the night. It's AJ Fletcher, Hussein Askabov, and Jamal Pogues. This is just my riskier parlay of the week. It's only a half unit at plus 202, and he's taller. He's not like a big guy. I guess for his height, he puts on a little weight, but he has somewhat of a ground game on the regional scene too. You've seen, you know, I don't know if he's going to go out there and get a submission. I took him. Actually, I did. His submission prop was only plus 600. He's got a couple submissions on his resume on the regional scene. We've seen him get takedowns, do some groundwork. He's decent on the ground, and Josh Parisian's found himself on his back before and been submitted. So that's kind of a long shot play. 0.15 unit. So if you're $100 better, that's $15 plus 600. Jamal Post submission, and then like I said, into that 3 leg parlay. But it is a little dicey. I don't mind the Josh Parisian money line play at that price that you have, just because I mean he's got so much experience. He's got the UFC experience. He's a pretty tough dude, and he's not a terrible fighter. A lot of people hate on him, but I mean, at the end of the day, he can beat Jamal Pokes. I mean, this line's a little wide, but yeah, nothing big on Jamal Pokes here. He's kind of a guy that still needs to prove himself after getting a decision win on the Contender Series.
Couldn't agree more. Will Knight and Marcin Prachnio. I got Will Knight on the money line, minus 115 for 3/4 of a unit. That is all I got on. Oh no, I got over 1.5 takedowns on Will Knight in the prize picks play. I think I mean he's shorter guy, he's probably gonna have to close the distance, and he averages 2 takedowns a fight. So I'm gonna take the over in that pretty
Yeah.
much every time. So thought that was
Dude, when
pretty
he gets his hands locked, I mean, you're going for a ride. He's
yeah.
so strong. I mean, even at the weigh-ins, dude, he looked like a monster.
Yeah, he
I've
looked
got
good.
him on. What's that?
He looked good. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
really good.
you kind of wonder if he's just been working on his cardio too, and trying to get that a little bit more in check. But it's weird because you look up in the third round, and he's still throwing crazy. He might be gassed, but he's not going to quit. He'll still get takedowns late in fights. So I do like him on the money line. I saw a lot of people picking Prachnio this week. Um, man, he's been knocked out 4 times. It seems like one big shot from Prachnio, and it literally affects him for the next however many minutes the fight goes. It could be 7, 8, 10 minutes. It could be 3 minutes. But every time he gets hit big, it seems to affect him long term in the fight. And I mean, Will Knight, you look at the guy, he can get knockouts. He's strong, throws hard. If he gets in tight, and he'll get under, he'll lock his hands under your butt and take you for a ride. I mean, we've seen him slam some dudes, and once you get Will Knight on top of you, I mean, how can you get that dude off? It seems like impossible. So yeah, I like Will Knight on the money line. Um, would love to see him get the knockout too here, but I'm not going to play anything officially yet.
All right. Jim Miller, Alexander Hernandez. I went back and forth on this one, but ultimately, I thought there was way too much recency bias on both guys. Obviously, the positive for Jim Miller and the negatives for Alexander Hernandez. And I thought Alexander Hernandez has been fighting some good opponents, and Jim Miller has not. So
Yeah,
I ultimately went with Alexander Hernandez. I took him in round 1 or 2 at plus 120 for 3/4 of a unit. Hernandez round 1 KO plus 225 for 1/4 of a unit. And then I took Alexander Hernandez in a parlay with Clayton Carpenter for a unit at minus 104. And then the no house advantage for 4 leg power play. I got under 61.5 significant strikes. Jessica Andrade under 38.5 significant strikes. Alexander Hernandez under 35.5 significant strikes. Willie Knight and under 58.5 significant strikes. Jamal Pogue. So we took all the unders for an 11x payout for 1/4 of a unit. That is on no house advantage. That is all I got on that one. But ultimately, I just thought Hernandez was being undervalued. Even though he's, somewhat of a chalky favorite, minus 200, I just think he's much better. I'm always going to lean the younger guy, and the the top tier abilities of Alexander Hernandez beats Jim Miller on most days unless he gets caught. But yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, I'm scared Jim Miller is gonna find a late submission if Alexander Hernandez gets tired or Jim Miller somehow wears down on him or something. But all I got on this is point oh 0.05 unit for Jim Miller submission round two and point oh 0.05 unit for Jim Miller submission round three. So $100 better. That's only $5. Those odds are plus 1,600 for round two and plus 2,500 for round three. That's all I got because I don't know. I wasn't comfortable taking Hernandez. I looked at it pretty damn hard because I mean, you look at him on paper. Jim Miller's older, taking a lot of damage in his career. I mean, anybody would with that many fights. And then you got Alexander Hernandez, who when he's on and he's fighting well, looks like a fucking world beater. I mean, he looks
Yeah,
damn good. He even looked good against Billy Quarantillo in that first round. Um, he can crack. He's strong. It's just like does he have the mental game to keep taking these losses when after he was like a highly touted prospect and yeah, it just all comes down to if his mental's in check and guys like Jim Miller who know how to survive and win fights scare me and he's got a great submission game, so I had to sprinkle something on those late round subs.
yeah. From what I understand, uh, talk about the mental game. Like taking it on short notice probably helps him a little bit with like the anxiety. Like he's just coming in here, and there's not a ton of pressure on him.
Yeah.
So I like that aspect of it. But I also do think a little hedge with a Jim Miller like round two finish or something like that, a round three finish, something like that would be somewhat of a
Yeah.
smart bet if he does gas out. Nazim Sadykhov, Evan Elder. This one was tough, man. I wanted to get to Sadykhov so badly. I ultimately took him in a parlay just for a half a unit with Felipe Lins at plus 119. I didn't want to count out Evan Elder because he's still young and improving, and I can't really discount his debut at welterweight, that loss. So yeah, just a little small parlay with Sadikov for me. How about you?
Yeah, I had to take Evan Elder money line. I had to do it. He took a loss in his first UFC fight. I believe it was on short notice. If I'm thinking of the right fight. I mean, he didn't look too bad, and on the regional scene, he's looked really good. Um, he we've seen him get takedowns before. He seems like he's decent everywhere. Sajikov seems like a good striker for a couple rounds, and as the fight goes on, maybe Evan Elder could you know take him down, get some ground time, steal round or something like that. But I think it's going to be a really greasy fight. I think this one, honestly, Evan Elder plus 154. Those odds are probably about right, but I think it should be a decently close fight. Sajikov is a really good striker. He's fun to watch. Um, I don't think he gets the finish though. I think Evan Elder sticks it out. Sajikov might win on the scorecards, but man, something about Elder. I don't know. I like the line movement too. I like that a lot of the money was on Sajikov. Evan Elder just seems like one of those plays this week where I don't know. I just got a feeling about. I had to take him for half unit on the money line too, plus 154. We'll see what happens, but should be a fun one at least.
Yeah, it's a good fade on the Data White Contender Series for sure. Alina Landsberg, Mayra Bueno Silva. I don't think I got anything on this one. I just
I,
couldn't really get anywhere with it. Maybe I was eyeing the Bueno Silva by decision, but ultimately didn't do it because if it gets to the ground, I think she could sub her. So I was just like,
yeah,
it's not really worth it for me. What about you?
I got it to end inside the distance on either side. So 0.75 units at plus 110. Like you said, if it gets to the ground, I think Bueno Silva just you know mauls her, does her thing, gets the TKO or the submission, or maybe Bueno Silva catches her on the feet too. Lena Landsberg's 40 years old, been knocked out before, never been submitted. That's the one thing that kind of scared me a little bit, but there's a first time for everything. Maybe it happens today. Bueno Silva, those arm bars, all that shit. I mean, it's pretty nasty. So yeah, I like this thing to end inside the distance. Maybe Lena Landsberg finds the knockout. I really don't care how it happens. Just in the fight. Don't go to the judges' scorecards, and we're going to cash for about 0.80 units or $80 if you're $100 better. That's the only play I got on that one, though.
Jamal Emmers, Hussein Ashkabov. I couldn't get to anything on this one either. I really wanted to get to Jamal Emmers to fade the new guy, the new, hyped up undefeated Russian, but I just couldn't do it because I hate betting against Russians, so it's a no play for me. What about you?
Uh, the more I looked at the film, the more I looked into Jamal Emmers, 1 and 2 in the UFC, and I watched this Hussein Askabov guy. He's got almost 4 million followers on Instagram. He's coming into the UFC. I mean, this could be a big moneymaker for the UFC if he keeps winning, in Russia. Um, so I had to take him on the money line for a unit at minus 160 because, I mean, Jamal Emmers is a well rounded fighter. But if this guy, I mean, he's been fighting guys in the last 7 years with records of 9-3, 12-2, guys with decent records. So maybe he's not just padding that 23-0. So with the wrestling submission game, he's trained with Hamzat, I believe. I kept hearing reading on Twitter and seeing I saw an article about. So I kind of like him here a lot now. Not just because the Hamzat thing, just because, you look at the grand scheme of things, the UFC wants stars. This dude's already a social media star. He's 23-0. He's been fighting forever. Good finishing ability. And Jamal Emmers is 1 and 2 in the UFC. So, yeah, I like Hussein Askabov, especially under minus 175. I said if he got to minus 175 and over, I was going to sprinkle on Emmers. Got him at 160. And, yeah, man, one unit. We're going to win this one. I got a good feeling about him.
The only thing that or the another thing that scared me off of him was the money, ton of all the money being on Ashkabov. I'm like,
Yeah,
damn, I couldn't do it, but
the
I
public's
can't
got to
blame
win
you.
sometimes too.
Yeah, yeah. Felipe Lins, OSP. How about Felipe Lins winning at 203? Looking like a specimen out there. I took him
Yeah,
by KO plus 200 for a half unit, and I took the under 2.5 at plus 115 for three quarters of a unit. Heavy or light heavyweight unders seem to cash at a decent rate, so I'll take that with a couple of guys that have finishing ability and one guy that's a little bit old. So I'll take that, and then I got the Lins Sadikov parlay. That's all I got.
nice. Yeah, for me, listen, I love fading older guys in the UFC who are kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Guys who are at the end of their career. OSP is 39. He's probably more like 45.
So,
He's had so many fights and taken so much damage. I watched the Tanner Bozer fight, and what Tanner did was just throw so much volume early at him and just pressure him up against the fence. And we saw OSP just not throw any shots. He was literally just playing defense. He shot a few shitty takedown shots, and that's about it until he got finished. So I think Felipe Lins fought Tanner Bozer too, got knocked out as well. But Felipe Lins has kind of that style where he can kind of put a pace on you a little bit. Looks like he's in shape now. Should
mhm.
have a good cardio, have a good gas tank. So I think it could look the same way as that Tanner Bozer fight. I think you can see Felipe Lins just kind of moving forward, hitting him with shots, um, just kind of wearing him down and not letting him get any offense out. Felipe Lins has just got to get inside on OSP. Take away those kicks and just do some work and get OSP tired. And I think you can get the win. So it's always 2 units on any fighter fighting the guy that's it's at the end of his UFC career and is taking a ton of damage in his career, especially at light heavyweight or heavyweight. We saw it with Shogun Rua at Brazil. That was one of my bigger plays of the night, and I'm going to try to do it again here with Felipe Lins. I think he gets it done.
Yeah, 42 pro fights for OSP. That's a lot. And
It's a
then
lot of CTE.
yeah, the last performance against Shogun really does not age well.
No,
AJ Fletcher, Themba Garimbo. I'm on AJ Fletcher in this one. I think he kind of needs a win here, and Themba Garimbo really didn't impress me at all. And it's kind of the recency bias again. He's coming off two losses, so you're probably getting a pretty decent price on him. He should be a little bit bigger of a favorite, in my opinion. Themba has the physique for it 6'1", 77-inch reach, 10-inch reach advantage, but I think Fletcher has the ability to get inside and get the takedowns, uses ground game, uses strength. So I took over 1.5 takedowns, for the Prize Picks play. So that's over 1.5 takedowns for both Will Knight and AJ Fletcher power play. 3x in our money for a unit there. And then I got Fletcher in round 1 or 2 plus 125 for a half unit, and Fletcher inside the distance minus 115 for a half unit. So I'm big on AJ Fletcher this week. Always gonna look to fade the new guy, and didn't impress me at all on film.
Yeah, I got AJ Fletcher in a parlay, and that's it. Just because I didn't like the price. Not that I don't think he should be that big of a favorite. I just AJ Fletcher, being he's going to be the shorter guy, kind of the smaller guy. I didn't like him to get a finish either. I mean, it's definitely possible. I mean, if anybody finishes anybody in this fight, it should be AJ Fletcher. 'Cause he's going to end up on top at some point in this fight. I just I didn't want to lay the chalk. I found spots that I liked a little bit more, but I did take him in this parlay with Askabov and Jamal Pogues. But yeah, I mean, it's redemption time for AJ Fletcher. He had that loss where he was a big favorite in his last fight. He's going to get a UFC newcomer this fight. Um, and honestly, I think this fight just looks like AJ Fletcher getting in, closing the distance, takedown, control time, ground and pound, fishing for submissions, maybe a head and arm choke. But yeah, I think AJ Fletcher, if he doesn't win by finish, it should be a 30-27 fight, in my opinion.
Okay. Clayton Carpenter, Juan Camilo Ronderos. I think we're both on Clayton Carpenter.
Oh yeah.
Ronderos really didn't look like much, but it's hard to be confident in a newcomer in Carpenter, but I think he does get it done. I took Hernandez and Carpenter in the parlay, minus 104. Then I got the under 2.5 of that fight paired with the under 2.5 of Jordan Wright, Zach Pauga for minus 109 for a half unit. And then I took Carpenter inside the distance, minus 135 for 3/4 of a unit. That is all I got on that one. I just think he's better everywhere the fight goes, and he's aggressive enough. Um, Making his debut is probably going to be hyped up, smaller cage. So I like him to do it inside the distance.
Yeah, I like him. I think he's one of the better prospects coming off the contender series this year. I'm going to take him inside the distance for a half unit at minus 130. And I'm also sprinkling on Clayton Carpenter by submission plus 260 for 0.25 units. I think that one could hit. I think that could set the tone for the night. At Rondero's, like you said, man, he's not going to be as good as Carpenter anywhere this fight goes. I think Carpenter's going to piece him up on the feet. I think he gets in, takes the back, and he's going to be fishing for a submission. Let's call it now. I'm going to say round 2. There's going to be 3 minutes left. Clayton Carpenter's on the back. He's looking for submissions. He gets it a minute later. We cash the fucking ticket and move on to the second fight of the night. Happy, happy campers. I think it's all Clayton Carpenter. Clayton Carpenter here. I'm not even giving Ronderos a little bit of a chance. I just don't like him here at all. I'm not doing it.
I don't like him at all.
I
Honestly,
feel
don't.
confident this week.
I don't even know how he's in the UFC, but
Yeah.
yeah, that is what it is. That's those are the plays. Those are where the units are deployed, and hopefully we will come out on top. If not, it's a long-term game, and that's the game we play. So the double leg premium, that is where you can get everything, all those bets. And if you're watching here before, good luck. Till then, the double leg. We'll see you in the next vid, recapping some UFC Vegas 69.